I think Grandpa would be proud of me. I just like finished band practice and then was like, okay, I'm just gonna go like sit in the train station like a homeless person to like do this to be part of everything and like because the trains were canceled and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get home in time. And
Oh, wow.
anyways, so
It looks like you're sitting. Are you in a car?
Yeah, so my friend was like, here, go sit in my car, like use my car. So okay, sure. Great. So it's nice and quiet, I think. I hope.
I'm going to have to take your word for it since I can't see you.
I see Mike and Louise and Josephine.
Oh, really?
There they are. They're right by
yeah, we're here.
Chris.
Oh.
Your little arrows in your little gallery.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Laura.
Hi,
Melinda.
So
Hi, Sarah. I see you now.
This is like all the backstage before the curtains open, right? This is.
There's Sarah. There's Josephine and Louise and Mike.
Yeah.
Guys.
Okay. I think Trish, are you all set?
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay. Just so you all know. All right. I think we're ready.
Okay. So to control the chatter, I will probably mute most of you, and then one at a time, you will have to unmute when it's your turn. So hopefully you know where that unmute button is on the bottom left area. Rod will be emceeing this, but I'm going to go ahead and start with the video. Is the organist ready, Kenny?
That's that delay. Okay. and our new friend, Kenny Beeson, and the church have collaborated to really put all this together, and we're so thankful. Couldn't have done it without them. Special thanks also go to John Watts, minister at the church, and Danny Jacobson, who's the organist that you just heard. Dad passed away in the morning of March 4th in his room at Karcher Estates. He'd been in the wonderful care of First Choice Hospice for several months and was just settling into his new apartment at Karcher when he passed, just 3 weeks short of his 98th birthday. I had worked with John Watts at the church to hold Dad's celebration there, but then COVID pandemic hit, and of course you all know what happened after that. So everything was put on hold, and we kept thinking, well, it'll open up soon, but it never did. So this is where we are today. And I think maybe in some ways, this is the best, because we can reach people that might not have otherwise have been able to be there, and everyone can participate to the extent that they want. We're honoring the life of a man who dedicated his life to the service of others, whether it was being our mother's constant companion, caregiver, his social activism and volunteering, his teaching, or his friendship. Dad was a blessing to everyone he met. My brother Kerry, in the early days after Dad passed, commented to me that of all the ways in which he would be missed, just not having him to talk to and share was maybe the hardest. And I couldn't agree more. So let's get this started, and we're going to move now to John Watts back at the church. John?
There's quite a delay.
Yeah.
All right. Looks like we're on. I'm John Watts. I'm pastor at Nampa First United Methodist Church, and I had the great honor of being Ken Winther's pastor for just short of 10 years. There is life, and part of life is death. But there also is life after death. And Jesus told us about this when he said, I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, though they die, yet shall they live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Well, we've gathered for this service in multiple locations, but we also at the same time are together in our resolve to, at this time, worship God, give witness to our faith, and to celebrate a life so well lived, the life of Ken Winther, who was born on the 25th day of March in 1922 in Milton, Freewater, Oregon. All right.
Can Kenny hear you?
Kenny, John, we can't hear you from the church on the Zoom call.
All right, can you hear me? It's been 6 seconds. An alternative, of course, would be to do everything other than here at the church, and then we'll try again and just do everything from the church all
No,
in
we
one block at
cannot.
the
We can
end.
see you, but we cannot hear you.
Video?
Yeah, we heard the organ.
That's okay, we understand.
Believe it or not, we had a tech rehearsal a couple of weeks ago and everything was
All right. All right. It's going to work this way? All right. Sounds good. Well, I am John Watts, and I was honored to be Ken Winther's pastor for just short of 10 years. And of course, I'm standing in the room where we would have been gathered for this service had that been possible, but that was not possible. So I just want to open with these words of Jesus. Of course, we know that part of life is death, but Jesus made it very clear to us that there is life, there is death, but there is also life after death. And Jesus spoke to us these words that we always remember whenever we gather to celebrate someone's life. And the words are these: I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, though they die, yet shall they live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Well, we've come together today, even though we're not physically together, we are certainly spiritually together in our resolve to celebrate a great life, the life of Ken Winther, who was born on the 25th day of March, 1922, in Milton, Freewater, Oregon, and who on the 4th day of March, 2020, in Nampa, Idaho, left this world to go to his Heavenly Father. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Let us pray. O God, the Lord of life, the conqueror of death, our help in every time of trouble, who never willingly grieves you or afflicts your children, but who is always there as a refuge and a strength. Comfort us who mourn on this day. Give us grace even in the valley of the shadow of death to worship you. May we hold confidently to your promise of life eternal, and may we place our entire trust in your goodness and your mercy. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Well, next on the plan for this morning, or this afternoon, Eastern Time, Ken's nephew, Ken Winther, to share a few words. Well, I was just thinking, aren't you glad?
Yeah, they're on mute. Tony and Debbie, unmute yourself, bottom left. We could come back to Tony and Debbie.
okay. Let's go ahead and do that. So we have the nephews and nieces are here. Doug, you're at the top of my screen. You and Joan, would you like to share anything with us?
Rod, I guess I'd maybe just say thank you for for doing this. It's a nice tribute to your dad. As you know, knew your dad well through my entire life. He was a really special guy. He was a guy that lived every day and enjoyed himself. He was a happy guy. I carry fond memories of Ken, and always will. And I mean, he knew both of us, and we, meaning Joan and myself, we loved having his company. He was a fun guy to be around.
Thank you. Barb?
Thank you, Rod. I have lots of good memories of Uncle Kenny. Some of the things that stand out, I can remember skiing with him up at Bogus when he was, older, probably about my age now, maybe even a little older. And that just reiterated that he did enjoy life. He wanted to live it. One of the special things that he and Aunt Em did for Greg and I, when we got married, our wedding gift was a week at Lincoln City. And Greg and I have never forgotten that. It was very special, and the coast has always been a special place to us because of that. Greg's not here today because he's working, but he wanted everybody to know that he was thinking of them. Anyway, thank you.
And we do. Oh, sure. Is Kathy on? I know that she asked for the link. I'm not sure if she's here.
Yep, I'm here, Rod.
Oh, hi, Kathy.
I'd like to say a couple things.
Great.
My most fond memory of Uncle Kenny is Christmas. At Christmas time, he would gather all the kids from the Winther clan and form a band, and we would play music. That's one of the highlights of my childhood. I was included as the youngest, even though I missed a lot of notes. And I love that time. So thank you, Rod. Thank you for putting it together today.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's so nice to have you guys here. And I want to thank you very, very much for being here. Do we happen to have Tony or Debbie available?
They're not yet. They're still muted. Yeah.
Well, that was one of the reasons she didn't want to do this.
I really don't think they want to do anything.
Well, all right. Well, I think we'll just move on, and I would like to have them say something if they want, but we can always plug this in. Okay, Chris, Sarah, Melinda, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, it's Melinda.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
You're good, Mom.
Okay. He was a man of great character. He was a man of principle. He was loyal and showed great concern for others. He was a man of faith. He was hardworking, but also loved to play. He was an honest man. Now, you may be thinking I'm describing Abraham Lincoln, and I could be, but I'm describing Ken Winther. He was a man that was highly regarded, was looked up to by those who knew him, not because of his stature, but because he was truly genuine. Sarah?
I don't think it was possible to be around Grandpa Ken for more than about 30 seconds without laughing. He lived each day with a deep sense of joy, which was absolutely contagious, bringing humor and energy to everybody around him. He would light up a room with his jovial voice and his ever-present laughter. His bright smile and twinkly eyes put me at ease every time I was around him. In short, being around Ken Winther just makes a person feel happy. I think it wasn't just his abiding joy that was so infectious, but his sincerity. I always felt like I could be exactly me around Grandpa Ken, that whoever I was, he would listen to, care for, and love me. Being around him made me comfortable and made me feel safe and loved because I knew that he would always be himself and I could always be myself. I believe that to be the kind of person who makes others happy just by being around and to be the kind of person who makes others feel like they can be themselves are just about the greatest goals we can aspire to in life. Grandpa Ken had this figured out. What an incredible human.
Sarah, that's great. You know, one of the things that he loved to do is to argue with you over almost a wide variety of topics. But yeah, so special. Chris?
Yeah, well, hi everybody. It's good to see all your faces out there. I've just got a short tome to read, so settle in. Seriously, I found when writing songs that actually a cliche is very useful in getting across a complex thought in a short amount of time. So I'm going to describe Grandpa with a cliche, and that is, talk is cheap. To me, his words spoke volumes, but they were followed more closely by his actions. So let me begin just with his words. He didn't mince words or try to soften a blow by choosing them too carefully, but instead he got on with it, and he told you straight. If he thought I was tanking or not trying in a card game, he would say, "Chris, no one likes to lose." And he liked to be straight to the point. So let me continue, and I'll describe his actions now. He once said, and I might not get this said perfectly, but it was something to the effect of, the day you start thinking too much about yourself is when you really get depressed. And so he acted, and he always acted. He didn't necessarily try to pick you up with sentimental talk or overused affirmations the way we sometimes, I think I do, and a lot of us do. I don't think he used those thoughts on himself all that often either, because, yep, talk is cheap. Rather, he wanted you to be empowered to feel successful through your actions. Being in a terrific ensemble, a bell choir, or winning a hard point in tennis, or a hand of oh heck. He didn't give those things to you, but he made you earn every bit of it. And though he might not have admitted it, he reveled in your success. He showed me that talk is cheap, but feeling successful is expensive in terms of effort and therefore always well earned.
Thanks, Chris. He loved to compete.
Yeah, it was fun competing with him.
Well, I'll tell you. Let's see. Melinda.
When I received the call that Ken had passed away, I was working out in the perennial garden, and I was saddened by the news that I really never wanted to hear. But rather than sit and pine, I returned to work in the garden. As I grew plants and tilled the earth, I thought, this is what Ken would expect me to do. Enjoy living, not be overcome by setbacks or hardships. He also shared his love of the outdoors, gardening, and taught me to never be afraid to trim and prune. He loved to trim and prune. And to this day, I smile as I attack a shrub with my clippers. Ken always said, and I know that Chris and Sarah have said this, and I've heard this too from many. Ken always said, when you have time to sit around and feel sorry for yourself, that is when you grow old. And as an honest man, he was true to his word. Ken liked being busy, and he lived his life to the fullest to his very last days. He enriched the lives of those who knew him. My sister Susan considers Ken and Em and Judy to be some of her heroes, and she always looks up to all of them. Knowing Ken was his greatest gift to me and to my family. Ken passed away on March 4th. this is an easy day to remember. This is the only day of the year that is a command, March 4th. Indeed, Ken did, and indeed we will too.
That's great. Thanks, Melinda. So you all know Dad was a teacher. He spent his whole life teaching, and not just in the classroom, but virtually everywhere he went. And one of his prized students was Ruth Ann Knapp from Melba. Ruth Ann?
Unmute Ruth Ann. Ruth Ann, you're muted.
Thank you, Melinda. I thought I was the only one who was conscious of March 4th.
Is that a music teacher thing? I don't know.
I was trying to figure out how to start this. And I too was going to come up with a poem, but I couldn't figure out how to start Ode to the Lowly Flutophone. The flutophone is what introduced me to Kenny in the early 1950s at Glendale School in 4th grade in Mrs. York's class. I may have been the only student, well, there might have been more, who actually played everything in that book at some point in time in my life. I am so happy that Kenny came to Melba. He gave the students such a wide horizons, and the parents were so grateful. We were on band trips to Emmett. The hill into Emmett was not known for being straight roads, and it did, after a couple celebrations there, fill up a couple band hats, but they survived, and so did the kids. We went to Idaho festivals, solo and ensemble, band festivals. I heard things that I didn't know were possible on instruments that I had not yet become acquainted with. He taught me to sort music, score order. When I left Melba High School, every piece in the music library was precise in score order and taped. It got me a job at the University of Idaho in the music library. And because of his training, I spent 8 summers working in the music library at the National Music Camp. Thought of him every summer. Not only was I thinking of him at Interlochen, but when I graduated from the University of Idaho, I took a job in Beaverton, Oregon. Kenny and Em happened to be in Corvallis. Thank God. He counseled me through one challenging year and convinced me to go back for the second year, which was more challenging. And when I quit my job that spring, he understood that wherever I was going to go, I would have been happier. I ended up in Michigan after an interview at Interlochen and took a job in Saginaw, where I ended up teaching 40 plus years. Thank heavens, Kenny was able to come back to Saginaw and visit me here. We went up to Interlochen when Rod was conducting, and I left him there on Sunday with Rod to go back with him to Cincinnati. and it was an absolutely wonderful visit, trip, experience. We were able to go to Interlochen State Park and find the approximate place where, when his father was working at Interlochen, we found the approximate place where he lived in a tent with his mother and dad while his father worked with Giddings and Maddie at Interlochen. It was a real treat to be able to give something back to him. There is one in Michigan. It is often filled with music things, and people always ask me, where is Winther's store? Well, I said, it's the best store around, and it's the best store in my mind. We reconnected when Kenny came back to Nampa, because I would come out to Idaho every summer, June-ish, to check on my property in Melba. We always went to Sherry's and had lunch and had a long chat. And thank heavens, I was able to tell him how much he had done for my life and how much I loved him. And I knew that the feeling was mutual. I miss him.
Thank you, Ruth Ann. You were one of his favorites, that's for sure. Why don't we move to some friends? Is Pat Rollinson on board anywhere?
I'm here.
Oh, great, Pat. Would you introduce yourself and share with us your thoughts?
Yes, I'm Pat Rollinson. I live in Corvallis, Oregon. And I knew Ken and Em for over 50 years. It is impossible to think of Ken Winther without smiling. He had such an infectious laugh, and he could really giggle. A great sense of humor, a sense of giving all he could to his students, school, and community, and his loyalty and affection for his many friends gained him respect wherever he went. He was a devoted family man to his Em and to his sons and family. He was pure pleasure. It was pure pleasure to know the Winthers for well over 50 years. No subject was off limits with Ken, and it led to many interesting and often hilarious discussions. He was a fierce competitor, whether it was a game of cards, a game of tennis, or a music competition. He played to win. Thank you for your friendship and all the wonderful memories, Kenny. We all miss you. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. That was well said, and especially that he played to win. And if you didn't play to win, he didn't like that very much. So we all knew that about Dad. Let's see, Phil Peterson.
Here, okay, I think I'm off.
No, you're.
Am I on?
Yep.
Okay. Pam and I were so privileged to know Ken during the last chapter of his life, really. The last few years, he was a fellow Kiwanian in the Nampa Kiwanis Club after he moved back to Nampa, so I got to know him on a weekly basis then. I had known him a little bit vicariously because, as you may know, Rod and I were in college together in the same living group. And so I knew the Winthers from a long time ago. But again, these last few years, when we were in Kiwanis together, and we both had season tickets to the Boise Philharmonic. So during the last time, as recently as earlier this year, in early 2020, we had attended our last concert together. During the last couple of years, we would pick up Ken at his residence, and we would travel together to the Brandt Center in Nampa to listen to the Philharmonic play. Ken had, as has been mentioned, a wonderful sense of humor, and it was just a pleasure to have those rides back and forth to the Philharmonic, talking, as has been said, many different topics. And he always had an opinion and usually a funny story from his past relating to something that was going on in today's world. He was full of a lot of wisdom in that regard, and we will miss him terribly.
Thanks, Phil. The symphony concerts were so important to Dad, and it just helped to add, I think, many years to his life. So I want to thank you for that. Did I see Greg Winther? Is Greg here? No? Okay.
Rod?
Yes, ma'am.
Greg wanted me to tell you that he tried to get on, but he didn't have enough bandwidth, and he wanted to apologize for not being here.
Oh, no. I knew he was up in Riggin, so I'm surprised he'd get any at all.
He did help me get on.
Well, that's good. Let's see. Is there anyone, is Patty Maxwell or anyone from Goldcrest here? Okay. Let's see. How about Carla Moses? Anyone from Karcher or the hospice? Okay. I'm just, Debbie and Tony, do we have them available for a word or two? Maybe not.
So they're on, but they're just muted.
Yeah.
Are they muted, Trish?
Yes, they're muted,
They
Rod.
can't hear us.
Yeah, they're muted.
So they can't hear us?
Yeah, and only they can unmute themselves, so.
Right. Okay. Maybe I should get a note and hold it up. So, unmute, please. Well, I'll tell you what. Are there others that would like to, before we move back to the church or to Carrie, are there others who would like to share a memory? Yes.
Yeah, Judy. Don't forget Judy.
Yes, we're going to go to the church and she'll.
Oh, she's at the church.
There.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I have a fireball.
I'm Dave Palumbo.
Oh, hi, Dave.
Hello, Rod. It's wonderful to see you and all your friends and family, and Ken's friends and family. So my father, Leo Palumbo, was principal at Fayette High School when Ken was teaching there. And I know because of their love for the students and their love of music together, they had a very special relationship. Some of the stories that either my father has told or Ken has told me, they probably did some things to aggravate superintendents and people like that to accomplish what they knew was the right thing and the best thing for the students. Ken was my 7th grade band teacher. I was a very challenged cornet player, and he did his best to try to make me a better cornet player. Sorry it didn't work, but at least he gave me every opportunity play that cornet in a wide variety of opportunities. I'm sure because of my dad's relationship with him stretching what he should have done. And I do appreciate Ken for giving me all those opportunities. Like Phil, I'm in the Nap-Kiwanis Club, and it was always a pleasure to have Ken at those meetings so that we could share. Ken could participate in what he loved. The Kiwanis Club was one of his big relationships here in Nampa, up in Washington State. So I just wanted to thank Ken for that little part of my life experience that we had, for his relationship with my father. And my mother, who is 95 years old, this morning I visited her at the retirement center, and she wanted me to pass on her love of Ken and hellos to the family and all that. She's doing very well for being 95 years old. We all should have the mental acuity that she has at that age. So I thank you for this opportunity to share. I thank you for the opportunity to see you and Rod. Peace and blessings to you and to the family. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Just one quick story. My dad and I always in Payette, we always drove home together because he needed to go home and take care of mom and have lunch. And I got my report card, and I was in the 7th grade, and he said, "How are your grades?" I said, "Pretty good." I said, "Get any B's?" Said, "Just one." I said, "Oh, really? What was that in?" "Band." My father, my own father, gave me a B in band. I think the only one I can ever remember getting. He said, I said, "Why did you do this?" "Because you didn't practice hard enough." Oh. So that was a lesson learned, you know. Jerry.
Yeah, Rod, I met Kenny. Well, let me start with the Winther family have been pillars in the Methodist Church. When I grew up there, I remembered Pop Winther, and I remember him at the high school. He retired just as I entered the high school, so he wasn't my band teacher, but I knew all the family. When they opened the music store, that was a magic place for me. And Kenny was there, and I got to know him pretty well there. I went in frequently and bought records, and he knew what I wanted, and he always had some set aside for me when I came in, and it was a wonderful thing because you could go in a private booth and play the records, any records as long as you wanted to, and then come out and buy some of them. But Kenny always knew exactly what I wanted. And then Kenny moved away. We lost him for a while, and I would see him when they'd come back and visit. They'd always be in church, and he was always such a bright, happy person. And then we were delighted when he moved back here, and he again became a really important part of our church. And I loved, he was still really interested in everything. And we talked about skiing a lot. He was still, every time I'd see him, ask about how skiing is and remind me that he skied until he was 80. And we just were good friends. We're really going to miss him. And now we don't have a Winther in our congregation, so one of you is going to have to move back here and take care of that because we need to. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. I'll take that up with my brother when I talk to him. Let's see. Anyone else outside of the Winther before we go back to the church?
Hey, Rod.
Yes.
Mike here. Ken's great-granddaughter would like to say something.
Oh, wonderful.
So
Thank you,
here's
Mike.
Louise. Yeah, you bet. Okay, go ahead, sweetheart.
Hi,
Louise. I didn't know Grandpa Ken for very long, but hearing what others have said about him and seeing what he had done in the not very much time I spent with him helped me to realize that he was a great person and that he helps others a lot, and that even when he became old, instead of sitting and doing nothing, staring at something, well, he would get up and do something with his life. And even when he got really old, well, he'd still do that.
Louise, that's so nice. Thank you so much. Grandpa would be very proud of you. I know I am. Anyone else? Well, then let's move to the church. And Kenny, we're going to let you take it over. And I think there are some people there, including Judy, that would like to share some thoughts. Okay. You know, as bad as this COVID is, this is pretty amazing that we're able to do this.
All right. So people can hear me? I will assume the answer is yes. So I want to thank Kenny Beeson, who we've relied on Kenny very much for several weeks, months now. He's our tech guy, and I know it's frustrating when things don't go real well, but we appreciate Kenny. Kenny's one of 5 people present in this sanctuary, so there aren't many of us here, but one who is here is Ken Winther's good friend, Judy Matthews, who I'd like to call upon to come up and share a few words at this time. Judy, so glad that you're here. There you are. About this, Candace. Good idea? Okay, good. Okay, if you wouldn't do. Okay, you're ready.
Okay. I figured out if Ken would have met just one person from the day he was born until the end of his life, he would have met 35,774 people. But we all know that Ken was a very sociable person, and so the amount has to be at least 10 times more than that. And it's amazing to think that how many people can be affected by one person. Ken was very special to me. I knew him for about 11 years. How we first met was he had to stop driving, and I said, okay, we need to get you off the road. I will drive you wherever you need to go, which ended up being a lot of miles. I spent a lot of time with Ken, 3, 4, 5 days a week, a few hours each day, and we talked on the phone every night. Now, I was so blessed to have been one of those people that Ken met along his journey. He added a lot to my life. He introduced me to his family, and they've been very kind to me. I felt just like one of the Winthers, almost. And he spent a lot of holidays and special occasions with my family. They adored him. The only time Ken ever hurt my feelings was, I gotta tell you this, my youngest daughter. He was very fond of her. And when she was around, he'd say, I don't want a hug from you. I want a hug from Amanda because she gives the best hugs in the world. He introduced me to this church. He taught me an appreciation for classical music. There are just so many ways that he enriched my life. I love that man. I really loved him, and I know that he loved me. He brought a lot of love and laughter to my life, and I hope that I did the same for him. We watched a lot of Boise State football together and Gonzaga basketball games. So in closing, I have 2 words I want to say to Ken. I know he can hear me, and I know he'll appreciate it. Go Zags. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Judy. All right, we appreciate that, Judy, so much. Well, I just, very briefly, Ken died just short of his 98th birthday. And cause of death, we could go through the list of common causes of death. It was not cancer, it was not heart disease, it was not a stroke, it was not an accident, it was not COVID-19. We might say that Ken Winther died of a completed life. And what a life it was. If you have not yet read his obituary, you need to do that. Beautifully written, and it tells the story of an amazing life. Way too long for me to read it now, but I just want to read one sentence that really says it all. Ken's life was about as rich as any one person could create. It was such a privilege to be his pastor and to be his friend. So every Sunday, Ken had a little ritual. Whenever he would see me, he would walk up and he would examine my necktie. And if he liked it, he would say so. And if he didn't like it, he would also say so. And so I made it a point this morning to wear one of the ties that I'm pretty sure Ken liked. He was such a fun guy to talk to, so interesting, so interested in the things going on in the world, and not just unimportant things like current events, but also important things like Gonzaga basketball, as Judy reminded us. So I've been saving this line for months that I was going to use at Ken's service. I was going to say that when Gonzaga University learned about Ken Winther's death, they decided to cancel their basketball season. But that was so long ago. That is no longer funny, if it ever was. As a matter of fact, it wasn't long after Ken's death that we stopped holding worship service here at church. It just wasn't the same without Ken Winther. He was funny, he was fun, he loved to laugh and joke around and tease. And he was also about as tough as they came. Ken fell several times. A couple of times, if I'm not mistaken, he actually fractured his hip. And at his age, we all kind of figured, well, that's really too bad, but boy, that's probably it for Ken Winther. But no, both times he came back to church way, way sooner than any of us could have ever imagined, and no doubt sooner than he should have been here. But when he was in the hospital, I do remember that one thing kept him going. It was the cute nurses. Another thing that I will always remember about Ken is how generous he was with his compliments. Now, he was honest. He would tell you what he really thought, which is why I'm sure he got the best out of his musicians. I guess he wasn't afraid to give his own son a B in band, but if you did something well, he would also tell you. And he would say it with such sincerity and appreciation, and it meant so much. He was the quintessential gentleman, refined, polite, kind, and fun. Ken Winther died of a completed life, and I'm so thankful that our lives came together for those 10 short years, 10 of 98. Well, nobody knows for sure how long the Apostle Paul lived, certainly much less than 98 years, but when he died, he too died of a completed life. And as he was anticipating his death, here's the way he put it. I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have loved his appearing. Let's pray. Into your hands, O merciful Savior, we commend your servant, Alban Kenneth Winther. Acknowledge, we humbly beseech you, a sheep of your own fold, a lamb of your own flock, a sinner of your own redeeming. Receive Ken into the arms of your mercy, into the blessed rest of everlasting peace, and into the glorious company of the saints of light. Amen.
Just very moving tribute. I can't tell you how much it means. We're going to shift now out to Putney, Vermont, and my brother, my older brother, Carrie, it's all yours.
Hi, everybody. When Mom died, I spoke and played music for 22 minutes. And
we remember.
Uncle Paul documented that. For some reason, when Mom died, it was a little easier than this one. And as old as Dad was, and as complete a life as he lived, this is harder. I'm not going to cry, so don't worry about that. We're not gonna shed any tears, because I know how that can affect people. Just a few things I wanted to say, though. He asked that I play a song, and so Alma put together a wonderful collage of pictures similar to how we started, and I came up with the song that I thought was apropos. I thought of you a lot, Chris, when I did this song, because pretty hard to do a song anyway, but let alone in a situation like this. Of course, my thoughts to my brother Rod are huge right now. Appreciate everything he's been doing for, you have no idea, all the things he's had to take care of since Dad's passing. Just an enormous amount of things, and he did it. Just, I don't know how he did it, but he did, and I really appreciate that. I'm not going to say a lot, but I'm going to speak for Alma and Gabe, because they're kind of shy. When Gabe and we were having breakfast this morning, I said, well, Gabe, what are you going to say about Grandpa? And he says, well, let's see. What do you mean? I said, well, what do you think of when you think of Grandpa? And he said, well, he's the only person that ever gave me Pop-Tarts at 7 o'clock in the morning. And he liked to eat, sweets. Dad had a sweet tooth. He used to eat sugar pops when we were a kid, which are 40% sugar. I think they outlawed sugar pops finally. We won't do that anymore. And Gabe wanted to mention that his penchant for Wheeler's hamburgers and chocolate shakes, whenever he got out of the hospital, the first thing he did was get a hamburger and a chocolate shake.
And some fries.
The last conversation I had with Dad, I said, well, Dad, how's it going? He goes, well, I've been sleeping and dreaming a lot. And I said, well, what are you dreaming about? He goes, girls. And smiled. And, you know, the mango doesn't fall far from the tree. What I'm proudest about with Dad at the end was that he finally, he told me how happy he was. I'm not going to cry. He told me how happy he was that I'm finally settled. And those of you who know me know that it's taken me a little while to settle down. But how proud he was that I was finally settled, and how much he loved Alma, and how proud he was of his grandson Gabe. And I'm not going to cry, so we are going to do a song now that I put together for Dad, and a collage. And I love you all so much, and I know that I know how much you all feel about Dad. Last thing I'm going to say, he got up every day and he lived it. So we're going to switch now to the music collage. I'm not going to cry.
Okay, there we go. From the beginning.
Yeah.
Carrie, that was great. Really, really great. I'm going to like to try one more time to see if we can get Tony or Debbie to say something, if it's possible. No, I guess. Okay. All right. So I guess we're all set. Is there anyone else that would like to say something before we wrap this up? Okay, first of all, thank you all. It's been great. And I'm so thankful for you all to participate. Dad loved you all, and Carrie and I are truly in your debt. I hope that we can maybe take some of the lessons that we've learned here today about Dad, kind of life he lived, and maybe apply them to our own lives and see if we all can be try to reach a little bit higher in terms of that, what he shared with us. So I love you all. And so I've been told I should close it down. So thank you all. Tricia, thank you. Dan, thank you. Out to the church. We're going to go, and I think Danny Jacobson's going to play some more organ, and hopefully we will see you a lot in the future. Thanks again. great. Thank you, Danny. Bye, all.
Yeah, you can go. You say.
I guess he's gonna.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.